You out for a second, darling? I think you're out at the moment, which I think is your mic that is picking up some of the echoing that's going on there. But we've got you now all on the main screen, ladies. Can you chat so I can hear you?
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
Ah, that's great. I can hear everyone. Welcome, ladies. Good evening. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Bit
Yeah,
tired. It's
very
been a-
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You ladies might have to speak up just for a little second. And
Okay,
let's
so
just
can you
turn
hear
up.
me? Am I loud enough?
Yep, you are
Yep.
loud enough. I just want to make sure everybody else is. Talibano, can you hear us? Echo has gone. Yes, it has. And thank you. I hope you guys can hear us very, very clearly this evening. Welcome, ladies. Long time. A couple of weeks ago, we saw each other. How are you since then?
The time has gone by so quickly since the last time we were here. I'm like, speed of light. Time is going at the speed of light. Yes.
It feels like a long time for me.
It has. We
It's
didn't
not-
see you. We didn't see you
No.
last month, unfortunately, but you're back with us.
I am back, yes.
Thank you very much. And everyone can hear us loud and clear. We're just going to wait for Miss Elanius to come and join us in the stream. She'll be joining us in a very short second. Well, thank you for everyone for joining us this evening. As we said, we've got a subject matter at hand, and it was about whether we suppress and submit ourselves in relationships. Now, this was born of a video that went round, right? We saw this video that we saw of a man talking about what he expects women to be like. And the show kind of stemmed from there. So before we actually get into the crux of the matter, and I have to look at my other computer, let me see if I can just quickly play this video for everyone. And then we will start the chat then. Hold on one second. Right, so.
Example, he don't like you. He don't call you.
No, that one.
You keep calling him.
No, not even that one.
Sis, let me share 3 things that men find irresistible in women, and none of them are sex. Number 1, unconditional respect. What does that look like? Even when he's not doing everything the way that you think he should, he may even be grumpy sometimes, but you still respect him as the husband and the lead of your life and the head of your home. Number 2, self-control. No man wants a woman that cannot control her mouth, control her emotions, and control her attitudes when things don't go her way. It shows maturity and respectability when you can control your emotions even when you're upset. And number 3, teachability. A man wants to be with a woman that he can teach, that is willing to listen to him and to learn from him. Even if you feel like you have a better way, there's always another way, and there's always something that the head of your home can teach you. Learn these 3 secrets and you're going to find yourself irresistible.
So that was the video that we had actually seen. And we watched the video, and we had a few things that we kind of wanted to say about this. Where's the screen gone? Yeah, and we kind of had a few things that we wanted to say about that actual video, because it kind of caused a bit of a controversial kind of commentary. And Lady B, what did you think when you first saw that video?
I mean, I was yeah. I mean, personally, I incidentally, I saw another video, okay, where a man was asking a woman about submission, and asked her, "Do you submit?" And she said, "Yes, I submit. I will submit to a man who is a man, you know, and a man who is a man is somebody who makes sure that his queen is all right on every level." She has no problem submitting to that man. So it depends on what you mean by submission, really. At the end of the day, who's going to submit to a man that she can't trust? Question.
Basically, before we carry on, let's talk about submissive, the word submissive, because basically, what's the first thought, right, when the word submissive comes from your mind? And it can trigger so many different approaches. Now, submission to your partner really simply means that you'll be under a mission to love, respect, and grow together. Okay, you're submitting yourself to the partner and the actual relationship. However, a lot of people think that this submission is a form of equality. Some may also think that it applies in the bedroom, and others think it's a form of surrender of their personality. And the reality is, learning how to be submissive in a relationship might not all be that bad, so long as we understand the terminology of what it means. And if you look in the dictionary about submissive and what it means, you kind of feel it's all about suppressing and not being yourself and not being able to express your feelings and being obedient. All those words come into that word, but that's not exactly what it means. And we need to clear up the definition and understand the misconception about submission in a relationship. And on top of that, we need to understand what that means and why does it feel like it only applies to women. That's my only thing also, is that whenever they talk about submission and things that you need to do, it's always like women need to do this and women need to do that. And it's what about the men's role in this as well? And I'm trying to show a range of videos this evening that will talk about some of the other sides to the coins. But I mean, what did submissive mean to you, Lady Toronto? What do you feel by the terminology of submission in a relationship?
Well, when I initially saw the video, I kind of was, my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, here we go again. Man, the head of the household, woman being obedient, and playing into those ideas around patriarchy and women's roles. And I was a bit reactive to it. But at the same token, like you said, there has to be parameters around this whole idea around submission. So again, it was spoken about respect, right? There has to be a framework of respect. There has to be frameworks of trust. There has to be frameworks of safety, right? Because submission doesn't mean that you become the beating board to somebody because you're the woman, I'm the man, and you have to submit to me. So, you know, there's a few dynamics in there. Submission also, to me, do we get to communicate with each other? Or are you telling me I'm the man and you have to listen and what I say goes, right? So all of those things were kind of rolling around in my head. And the last piece I'm going to say is I think about age. So maybe when I was younger, I would have been more inclined around the idea of submission. But as I've gotten older, I'm looking for equality in a partnership. That's what I think is ideal. So again, that submission kind of, in my opinion, kind of negates that area a little bit.
Thank you, Lady Toronto. And Miscellaneous, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this.
So, well, when we think of relationships, most relationships is set in love, or it should be about love. And if we're putting love at the center of the relationship, the idea then of submission doesn't fall just on the woman, or it falls equally on both man and woman. We tend to talk more about the women submitting, but conversations with men, you do actually hear that they have to submit. There is an element of submission that they do. But it has been a tradition that it's the woman that we hear spoken about having to submit. Because actually, I think men keep their submission quiet because, you know, the whole male bravado and such doesn't allow for them to be saying, actually, I am paying, you know, I am submitting to a woman. But where you hear them talking about love and their relationship and the things that they would do for a woman, that maybe if they wasn't in love with that woman, they wouldn't be doing that. I think that that's how they frame their submission, which is different than how we as women frame our submission.
Absolutely. But I actually want to concentrate on us as women and how we are in relationships. We know that it's a partnership, but specifically, I think I'm just talking about women and our role in a relationship, and how we should be, and is suppressing and being submissive the way forward in order to sustain relationships, or do we have to accept that people have different types of ways and beings, and we can't all conform to this one size fits all. We just can't. It's not possible. But let's get to Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson here, because we haven't heard from her in a little while.
I
scream. Yeah, there you go.
I do have problems with that word submit.
Yeah,
and what it means. I had huge problems with that. I watched that video, and initially I had my back was raised up, and I thought, what was she talking about? But actually, I do believe she has a point. I don't think that she's particularly, the point is correct, but I do think she has a point that men, in my experience anyway, do like to be able to teach their women something. And if you're in a position where they can't teach you something because you know everything, or everything that they want to teach you, then it does cause problems. I mean, I am particularly a strong Black woman. I went to an all-girls convent school, so I was taught by nuns, and they really kind of promoted the female voice. And so when I left my little grade 2 listed building convent school in East London and entered the real world, I was extremely surprised at how I was treated as a woman. And so, I guess it's it's not a coincidence that I'm 46 and single, because, I find it very difficult to, quote, do as I'm told. I've had ex-partners telling me, oh, for God's sake, I wish you just learned to do as you're told. If I did do as I'm told, if I did submit, if I did pretend to learn things from them, perhaps I wouldn't be single. I think it's a bit of a payoff, what you are willing to accept and what you're willing to do. And I think it's like, what was said earlier on, when you love somebody, this word submission is not there, because it's how you act within a relationship. You're loving a person, not a gender. And so it doesn't go towards these gendered stereotypes. The woman's got to do this and man's got to do that. You're in a loving, equal partnership, and it works. But I think in today's environment, in my experience, that is, it's very difficult to find that equal, loving experience with somebody where you're both treated as equally intelligent, equally have important things to say, equally have stuff to teach each other, to learn, and to grow together for a period of time with this equal relationship going. That's very difficult.
And it is very difficult, because when we think about how our parents, I remember how my mum taught me when I was growing up. And, my dad was the man that went out to work. He was the ultimate breadwinner, my dad. He went out to work every day. I got up and made his sandwiches for work. And when he came home from work, my mum would have the dinner on the table. She worked part-time. She'd have the dinner on the table ready for him to eat. Sandwiches would be made in the morning. And the roles were quite defined in terms of household roles. She looked after the house, cleaned the house. My dad went to work, brought the money in, helped half discipline the kids as well as my mum. And it wasn't about equal opportunities as such. And as I've said before in one of my shows, women ultimately ages ago couldn't get a mortgage without a man. So there's a lot of things we couldn't do without them. So women had no choice but to suppress and submit to their men, because there wouldn't have been many other places for them to go to. We've got a barrage of places that we can do now. You've got shelter places, you've got, other places, councils would have housed you if, your parents couldn't, and so forth. But in their day, they had no choice but to do that. And I think some of those traditions got passed down to us. And ultimately, some of those traditions still should stand still. Some of them are derived from the Bible as such, in terms of good moral and ethical behavior and how we should treat and respect each other. But what I find is that I feel like it's ultimately on the woman's shoulders to keep the household together and to keep peace and to make it to be a loving environment. Like, the man works really hard, and because of that, you've got to come home to a household that's peaceful and self-serving for yourself. Well, if you both go out to work, if you've both got kids to deal with, why should I be the peacekeeper at home? Why can't you be the peacekeeper? Why can't two people be the peacekeeper? I don't understand why it's one or the other's roles. It shouldn't be. And I kind of want that to go. I think that's the part of equality that I'm up to speed with and appreciative of. But what does everybody else think about that?
May I add something to that, please?
Yeah, sure, of course you can.
The words, again, it all depends on what you mean by submission. To me, submission means compromise. So, historically, women have had to compromise what they wanted for their men. As I said before, if a man cheats, is a woman still expected to be submissive? And the answer, at least historically, is yes. But in my mind, in today's world, and this is probably why I'm also single now, I'm divorced. In my mind, finding a man in our age bracket who is willing to allow submission can go both ways, okay? Because to me, submission is compromise, and finding a man in his 50s or over who is willing to compromise is actually quite difficult now, because there's that age-old adage of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This seems to be my experience just now. So it's about compromise.
Can I ask a quick question? And two of you have said this in a conversation, Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson and yourself, and said, perhaps this is the reason why I'm single. What's the reason why you're single? Is it
because
you're saying
we
that you
won't
don't suppress?
won't accept anything other than equality. That's why. I mean, I'm divorced. I actually have, funnily enough, a date on Sunday. I'm 46 and I am thinking of not bothering to go, because all he's talking about is himself, and he's not asked me very much about myself, and he wants to just go with the flow, and I don't like it.
and I think what it is, as you quite rightly said, when it comes to our ages, where our own morals and beliefs are ingratiated, they're there, there are ignorance.
We know what we want
is
now.
Stuck there, yeah. We've got to this age where you don't want all the rubbish, you don't want all the rubbish that comes with new relationships or whatever the case may be, and not willing to compromise on that.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference between when who was I speaking to about this the other day, where, when you talk about people that are married for 38, 48 years, that's compromise. That's compromise to the nth degree, because nobody has a marriage that's just straightforward and lovely and smooth. There's ups and downs, and there's rocky roads, and along the same things that we've been through as maybe single people dating men, but we're not married and therefore able to walk away because we don't have that piece of paper or that expense to say, sugar, should we get divorced? It's going to be too expensive. Let's just live here and do this. The option of walking away is so much more easier. And
I submitted for 27 years in a relationship, in a partnership.
That's a long time.
I didn't even
I
stay
didn't
that long
last
in
that
my
long.
I didn't even stay that long in my marriage. My marriage was 11 years. And because, that whole, you're conditioned, you think, okay, I'll let this one slide, And suddenly I turned around and I thought, whoa, 27 years and there's no change? I don't think so. So I had to give him the pink slip,
Is there not something about the fact that you're willing, both of you then spoke about, and even HPQ just spoke about what it is that you're willing to put up with. We don't want all the rubbish. We want all the good stuff now, because we're very clear on what it is that we want. We've got years of experience. We've been through, bad relationships. We've had elements of good relationships. And so it sounds as though you're making that choice of, I'm going to stay on my own if I don't submit, if I can't compromise.
Very much, yes.
I'll just stay on my own, and
yes.
and that's it.
Yes, one thing that I can't bear, I can't bear to be treated as if I'm stupid.
Mhm.
I can't
Not at
bear to
all.
be treated disrespectfully.
Not at
I'm no
all.
liar, so I can't be treating someone as if they're superior mentally to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember actually some years ago, a good male friend of mine, he said to me, "You're single and you'll always will be single because men don't like intelligent women."
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Wow,
I-
that's a statement.
And
and
I have
Because
found over the years, he's spot on. If I was to act like an idiot and smile and simper and you know cozy up to them, they'd love it.
So do you
but you
think
know,
that men are scared of superior women, like, or
Yes,
strong women that know
yes,
themselves and don't take nothing? Because I know that
all
some
of the
men
above.
actually like
I was gonna
like
say
strong women, right?
strong
They go
women.
after strong women that remind them
Yeah,
of their mothers.
they like them in theory, and then they
yes,
get me, and then they
yes.
don't like the practicalities of it.
No,
And
Dr.
But then
Cheryl
there's
Diane Parkinson, they get all of us. We are all very, very strong ladies on here.
Yeah, and
Our exes or current boyfriends will testify to that.
yeah, but in reality, they don't like it.
yes,
In
and I was
reality, they
gonna.
like that young bimbo that will just think they're wonderful and
But
stroke their ego.
I don't know. I feel like we're doing our guys down. There's surely got to be some. But I'm always Miss Hopeful, right?
yeah, so I'm gonna just jump in here, and in to a certain degree, I everything that Dr. Cheryl just said, I agree, and I say it like this. So, you know, strong, confident women, we have an energy around us, right? That the world sees, that people sees, and that is very attractive to men when you're out and they see you and they see that light, and that's what the pull is towards you. However, it is the same light that they resent when you get into a relationship with them, and they realize and they think, well, I loved everything that she emitted, all her energy. That's what attracted me to her in the first place. But the flip side to it is the same light that they become resentful for. To your point, we're intelligent. We can have these conversations. We can do the analysis. We can, and that's challenging. Why are you challenging me? So you think you're smarter than me? You think you're
Yeah.
smarter
Yeah.
than me? You know, that kind of thing, and that creates a huge resentment and barrier. So I had a very good friend, and his mom used to say to me, she said, "You see, you're gonna give man problems. You." That's what she said, because she said, again, the whole idea. I've heard men don't like complicated women, which I think translates to men don't like intelligent women, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's a sweeping generalization. I'm not saying
Mm.
all men, but that's just a sweeping generalization. So, yes, to your point, I'm married. Yes, I was married. And now, yes, I am single. Though I've been out on the dating game lately too, Dr. Cheryl. So there you go.
Good girl.
Oh my God.
Good girl, good girl, good girl. But it's difficult because when you're speaking to ladies of our age, I suppose talking about submitting to relationships is probably a little bit more difficult because of we've all had our own experiences, and now we're a lot stronger, and you come away from those thinking, oh, I'm definitely not doing this, or this is never going to happen to me again. But at what point does being submissive change to compromise, do you think?
You see, I actually think it's always compromise, because if you're going to do anything, if you're going to go in with a view of you met me like this, these are the things that you liked about me, and then I then start actually to downplay these things, I'm thinking that you're going to end up not liking me, because the reason why it is that you liked me in the first place is the thing that you're now actually asking me to downplay. So I think compromise starts from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not I've never actually asked myself the question about submission, because I'm like, well, I don't submit. It's not a question. However, I will compromise. Yeah, if there's a particular issue that we need to deal with, let's compromise on it. I'll take the little simple thing of washing up the dishes and cooking dinner as an example. Yeah. So I have a rule in my house: if I cook the dinner, somebody else washes the dishes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they cook the dinner, I'm more than willing to wash the dishes. That's a compromise. I won't debate on it. I won't submit to that. Yeah. But that's what it is. So I think that there's something more. I think compromise and negotiation comes before I even think about submission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think that most of us women of our age who are either divorced or split up from long-term partners, I think we've probably spoilt them in a way. Yes, I think we have, because we made them think it was okay
Yes.
for us to be submitting even when we weren't supposed to be. Now, things as simple as washing dishes and cooking, okay, there's that. But if somebody treats you badly or abuses your trust, why do you want to submit to that? And I'm guilty of that. I have been guilty of that in the past, and so for me, as I sit or as I stand or whatever right now, I think I was having a conversation with HPQ a few days ago about this, and I said, the moment a man steps to me and starts talking about looks and things like that, I'm switched off. If he starts talking to me about spirituality, not religion, I don't care whether you're Christian or Muslim, that doesn't mean anything to me. Spirituality means to me that you know enough about spirituality that you know that you've got to treat me right, or you've got to treat people right. And treating people right, if you treat me right, I'll treat you right. And then we can both submit to each other.
And I totally agree with that. And when I was reading and looking into submitting and suppressing and all sorts of things, I was reading some articles, and some of it felt very one way in terms of how they were explaining, or what it always was like women should be this and women should be that. I've yet to see some male articles on how they should be submissive in a relationship, to be honest with you. And if there are some out there, I beg, please send me some. I'd like to be able to see. But we're taught as women, like we said, to be the housekeepers, to make sure everything's nice and dandy at home. And it's changing now. And as women growing up and obviously being by ourselves as well, we want a partner that's a little bit more than that, and one that's willing to be, that can compromise, I would say. But
it's about the partnership thing, isn't it? Because it's supposed to be a partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that, for us that are single, is it because we can't compromise with a man, or is it because the men are not compromising with us, or is it because we are not listening? What is it?
I personally think it's when we're looking at compromise, we're looking at the women. It's like we talked about, I think somebody mentioned earlier on, it's fine to submit if the man is a man in every sense of the word and, puts his queen first. But most men don't. But yet they expect, well, Mike, I shouldn't say most men, but they expect a woman to still submit to that rubbish, quite frankly. And that causes the problem, because they're not being that strong male where you've got, an equal relationship that stands next to his strong female. They're just not. But they still expect the woman to submit. And all the onus and attention is on the woman submitting. It's not on the man doing the rubbish job. It's the woman.
Yeah, and I wanted to jump in and say that, I grew up with men in my life, my father, uncles who were, I speak about self-sufficiency. So my father cooks, my dad, my father washed, he cooked, he cleaned. My ex-husband, he washed, he cooked, he cleaned. I saw men in my childhood growing up that really also shaped my framework about the kind of man that I want to be with. And I can't I don't want to be the keeper of the man who says, I don't do dishes, I don't know how to cook, I don't know how to do laundry. You know, we're living in a time where we're balancing work pressures. So you're out of the house, you're working, add children into the mix, you got kids, add their activities, whether it's this, that, skating, hockey, singing after the work day, and weekend shopping and cleaning. That's a lot of work to be in a partnership with, and only one person is shouldering that.
Yes.
Specifically, generally, the woman, and I think that what does and can happen is, you know, some women they're good with it, but I think other women, I feel you become resentful about it as well. You know, like, why you can't, to say my value comes because I have a husband and yet I'm the one doing everything to keep a husband.
And it's
Or a
tiring. It's
boyfriend.
really
No.
tiring.
It is tiring.
Because that's what I did for years. The 4 children. My partner went out to work. I went out to work, full-time teacher, studying for PhD, looking after the 4 kids, sorting out the bed, dinner time, cleaning the house, doing the ironing, changing the bed sheets, going to work 5 days a week. And then he goes to work and comes home, and you ask him for help, and he says he's tired.
Well, that's because it's been made our role to be that strong woman, and we are particularly strong women. But before we go on, I just want to make sure I don't miss out any of the chat. I'm just conscious we've been there for an hour and I haven't even spoken about anyone in the chat. And I just want to read out some messages that have come through so far. And Aisha B says, we don't dumb down ourselves. And she says she's an ex-convent school too, whoever that was that went to convent school. And also, I think it's a balance of experience and knowledge. And she also said, not a good sign, Cheryl. Was that because you're on your own, or the rest of us are on our own? Not just Cheryl.
I think it's a good sign. We don't put up with no rubbish.
Very true. DJ Timekeeper says, I'm glad HPQ is looking at things from the female perspective, as there is a big element of choice. Thank you, sir. And also, let's have a look. Shola says, don't agree with generalizing. What else? Aisha B says, culture doesn't help. The whole you needs man that's going to put you in your place. Yeah. You've heard that before, right? You need a man that's going to put you in your place, and we'll come back to that one in a second. Timekeeper said, I had a similar discussion from a different point of view, and we talked about how some women that claim to be strong and independent have an attitude aura of superiority. We're going to come back to that one, DJ Timekeeper.
Words.
Thank you for throwing in that word. That is one. Yeah. And Shola says, this is complicated, as it's good for men to feel like men in a relationship. Listen, how many times have I been told that a man needs to feel like a man and make him be a man? Well, man up yourself, I feel like saying. Don't give me the expectation to make you feel like a man. Be a man, right? I can't teach you to be a man. That's something that's kind of taught within you. But
can I just add this?
Of course you can.
All right. And this is going back to DJ Timekeeper's comments, as well as man feeling like a man, right? You know, we are not put on this earth to make people feel anything. However you feel is how you feel, innit? I can't, if you look at me and you think I'm feeling super, you don't know what I'm feeling. You think I have an aura of, and DJ Timekeeper, thank you for that message, by the way. But the thing is, it's like when messages like that, when people think, oh, I better not do this because I don't want people to think I'm being superior. How are women supposed to be? That to me, that's a mind. Those are mind games. You know, what attracts me to you, or why you were attracted to me was because of my strength, or whatever you perceived, and then suddenly it starts to turn to you think you're superior. And I have had that, quite frankly, about that whole superiority thing. And if people actually really got to know me, I tell you, I will cry at the drop of a hat. There's no superiority here. This is really more about what you're seeing or your perception. And when we talk about perception in life, everything is perception. It's what you are perceiving. The fact that you're perceiving it doesn't actually make it fact or doesn't make it right.
Can I just say that I do believe that we do have some sisters that have an aura of superiority. I mean, I've met them, and they put my nose out of joint. So I don't want to actually deny that as a complete phenomenon, because they do exist. Our sisters do exist with an air of superiority. Coming back to a man needs to feel like a man. A man could walk into the place feeling like a man. And I've seen where it is a woman has dropped one or two comments and the man has felt like his legs have been cut off. So it's like, I suppose I'm saying all of that to bring a bit of balance. We as Black women, when we go to put down our foot and we are bringing our full, strong self in there, it can be intimidating. There is no if or buts about it. And that's not just down to perception. That is the fact that, some of our sisters, we do walk with that strength. And it can be intimidating. And I do feel that some women have the ability to undercut a man and actually make him feel manless.
I feel like it's not anybody's place. If someone stepped to me, someone has stepped to me before and made a comment that made me cry, okay, and I cried about it, and I spoke to somebody about it. I think I spoke to HBQ about it actually, and she said, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. I remember
and
it clearly.
Said, yeah, what's wrong with you? Strong woman. And the reality is, no one should be able to press your buttons and make you feel away. If you are confident in yourself, then nobody should be able to tell you who you are. You know what I mean? If a man feels
I agree,
like a man,
but when we think about abusive relationships, which is about the balance of power and how power is leveraged within that relationship, you do end up, the bit that they get to is your confidence, your self-esteem, and so forth. So you then end up feeling less than, yeah? And to say that that is something that only happens to women, I'm saying is an untruth. I'm saying that, it can happen on both, in both sides.
I agree with that, yeah.
Yes, and I agree with that too. But historically speaking, it has been predominantly women who have been impacted by this. Yeah. And I wanted to say this too, is that here's the thing that I find sometimes a bit disconcerting. So I'll give an example. I was in Jamaica and in 2016, and I was on the beach. And I talk to everybody, right? I'm that person. I talk to everybody. I'm Miss Congeniality, right? That's who I am. And so I'm on the beach with my friend in Montego Bay, and this Rasta man starts talking to me. All right, great. But I'm telling him I'm not here for that. I'm there because I'm having health issues and I'm going through a process of getting myself ready, prepared for what's coming ahead. But I'm talking to him, I can wash, I can cook, I can clean for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thank you so much. You're so kind. But that's not what I'm really interested in right now, right? I'm just keeping it real. Okay, so the next day I'm back at the beach again. He's there and I'm saying the same thing. Then he starts to curse me out. You think that you're this and you're that and from your foreign. But here's the thing. I think I need to have minimum standards. For me, I would think that the man that wants to be with me should have a minimum of both his eyes and all his teeth. Okay? at minimum. And I'm not rude to this man. I'm not going to be rude to this man, even though,
Listen, men are just crazy, because I was out just over the weekend, right? Went out with Miss L Vibes, and we're in this little room, and it was a nice little intimate vibe. And I watched these two guys to the right of me, and I watched them, and they're watching me, and they're watching the girl across the room and everything. And they so happened to dance with the girl across the room and everything, and she left, And then they put their eyes towards me, and I'm clocking all of this, and I'm thinking, right? So the girl now left after you wind up on her, and now you're looking something else because this is what's left in the room. So I'm leaving now, and one of them comes following me outside, and he's like, hey, and I'm scurrying across the road. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's cold. I just want to get to the car, park to my car. Hey, you don't want to talk to me. You're too good for me. And I had to look at the man twice and say, I said, are you crazy? I said, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. It's cold outside, and I just want to go home. But I just want to talk to you. Me and you could be friends. I doubt if you want to be my friend at this time of the morning. But you don't want to be my friend. You definitely don't want to be my friend for sure. What, you think you're too nice for me? Was the next word that came out. And with that I don't think I had to look in his face and just laugh, and I just walked off. I thought, I can't be bothered with no back chat, no sarcasm. I just smiled and laughed. Yeah, I am too good for you. And that's when I walked away. At that point, I acknowledged, I'm sorry. I don't always think I'm above the station with people, but I took a look and I think, yeah, I am. If this is the lyrics that you're coming to find your life partner at 4 o'clock in the morning after you just scrubs down some other girl, it's not going to be me. I'm sorry. It's not me.
But see, they're not looking for their life partner. They're not.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
The 4
You know, it's funny, but my dad used to say that you wouldn't find a good man in a dance.
Facts.
Yeah, that's what my dad used to say. You know, it's like, yeah, you can have your dancing team, but you need to meet somebody outside of that, you know, like the dance hall, to actually really understand and know who they are. And I was like, okay.
What I always say to people, and what I always say to my son, is that you've got to be able to wake up in the morning and have a conversation with that person.
Absolutely.
Right, that's the most important thing, right? All the lust and sex is great, you know, but that lasts 2 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour, depending on who you're with.
It depends.
Right, it really does depend. Right, and afterwards there's got to be something to talk about. You know, you smoke a cigarette, smoke a spliff, make a cup of tea, eat something, but you've got to have a conversation. And that for me is the crux and the be end and all end. If I cannot have a conversation with you, and I'm not just talking about music, I'm talking about a full-on conversation with you, it's just not happening. The attraction will never ever be there. But let me just read out some things on the message there. Good evening, Jackie Fit, nice to see you on. And let's have a look. Shola says, I know some women who will not date someone who is not a highly paid city professional, which I've put up there on mainstream as well. DJ Timekeeper, we got to get you on the show, actually. That was aimed at all women, but the element of choice is with the women more so than with the men, as when a relationship starts. The expectation placed on men by some women are not in keeping with the historical structure of relationships when the woman is independent and has their own money, car and house. Very, very true there. And Shola says we should all have minimum standards. Very true. And Jackie Fitz said, you're lucky, had a little conversation with you. I'm telling you, he was lucky. It was a minute. All of that was done in a minute. That's all it was. And Shola says yes to having intelligence and a sense of humour. He's got to make me laugh too. I think that's the most important thing. So all very pertinent points there. And as I said, I've got the number on the bottom of the screen. If you ever want to join in and have a voice, you can feel free to come and join StreamYard or Mixcloud, I should say, or come and hook you in by the telephone, or you can text your details. Or if you're on Mixcloud, obviously, you can just throw the details in there. So ladies,
go back and revisit. Sorry.
Lady B, you know, you said something earlier too, that right now one of the biggest turnoffs for me is men telling me, "Oh, you look good, you look nice, you look sexy." I'm done. And I'm not saying that I don't want to take a compliment, but there has to be more to that, because the sexual attraction is so base and it's so cerebral for me.
I mean, you can tell me I look nice afterwards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And so that's great. So now we can have a conversation, and it's duh. So for me, sapiosexuality is so much more attractive to me when we can have deep conversations around many things. I am probably going to fall madly in love with this person because it's not that one dimension of me being sexy and all of that. I'm too old for that now.
Yeah, and
My
I just want
response
to.
is like, tell me something I don't know. I don't say it. I think it in my head because I'm not trying to cut anybody
Do
down.
you feel under pressure to conform to what people think is sexy?
No.
Do any of you ladies
No.
feel under pressure
Nope.
to be sexy, as in you got to show your breasts and your legs in
No.
order to make yourself known?
No.
I it's really hard because I'm just trying to get myself on the screen. It's really hard because whilst I don't conform to that, can I get myself on screen there? No, I don't conform to that at all. But I believe in you wear what makes you feel good about yourself, not
100.
what other people make you feel better in. So if you want to put on a sexy dress, don't put it on to think, "Oh, I'm going to pull like 10 men here in this, you know.
No.
Let's cut this down here. You know what I mean? I'm going to pull tonight." You know, that sort of thing. That's intent, right? When you know you're putting on something, you know you want to find a man or get a man, or you put on something that suits your style. And it depends what people's perception of sexy is. That's the other thing, right? So we put sexiness as in you're showing your body, you've got big breasts, or you've got nice legs, or big thigh cut, or you've got long legs, long hair, whatever it may be. That's the epitome of sexy. But really, what does sexy mean? And it means so many different things to other people. And this is what I try to say to other people all the time when we go out. Just because you see someone in a short, tight dress and they're slim, it doesn't mean to say they are sexy and they appeal to everybody. Each men have different tastes. I've learnt that throughout life. They have different
yes.
tastes. It's not just
Yes.
it's just not the conventional slim woman that's got maybe a plastic surgery chest and you know,
Nope.
And I've been
gym ready backside, you know. Mine's soft and squidgy. It don't stand up firm. I'm sorry, people. Right, my backside is not pert. It doesn't do that.
Well, mine is firm, just in the interest of full disclosure. Okay?
Yeah.
It's
So
good and
Lady
firm.
B's put it out there. Her backside
Yes,
is firm.
It's in the interest
Yeah?
of, yes. When you tap it, it's stan. It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna big up Lady B's heritage right there,
Right there.
100%.
It's a heritage that it doesn't matter what you do, whether you go to the gym or you don't go, it's always going to be there.
Okay, Lady B, by the way, just in show of their support there for you, right? Delight says, I never get a man when I go out in my pum-pum shorts.
You don't need no pum-pum shorts, darling. Delight. Okay? Just be you. You know,
And show
it might be your hair, it might be the way you move, it might be your swag. You know what I mean? You don't need no pum-pum shorts. You know, it might be your conversation.
It's true, and that's what I try to say to all my sisters, as I would say. I'm a big believer in bigging my sisters up. I don't like to criticize. You know, very rarely we do get gossip, right? We do get things that you laugh about and you have a good chat about. You know, Lady B and I have some great great gossips. Honestly, we're so bad. I feel bad afterwards, you know. But we do have a laugh, and we're all here to make sure our fellow sisters all feel good about each other, no matter your size, no matter your hair, whatever the case may be. And I think we need to do a little bit more of that, and we need our men to do that as well. You know, not just sit there and think, why doesn't my woman look like this, or why does my woman not do this? You need to think about what she does do, because the next woman, as they say, grass is not greener on the other side. It really isn't all the time, and the woman that looks good isn't necessarily the best woman.
There's a message from Talibano where he says, people are individuals. No one should bow down to another. We all should be treated with respect and dignity.
Yes.
That sums it up for me.
Fact.
Yes.
Absolute fact.
Yeah.
But we came off the point slightly when I was talking about submissive behaviour, and I didn't go into some of these facts that I had. And we've spoken about this already, but I just wanted to just elaborate on this and say submission to a man in a marriage or relationship does not mean having no voice in your relationship. You can submit to your partner without losing your voice. Submitting to your husband doesn't mean you put him first before your own beliefs. Doesn't mean you allow your husband or your partner to abuse you in any type of form. Submission to your partner doesn't mean you will be a slave in or out of your home, more importantly. And submission to your partner doesn't mean that they will be the dominant partner also. They don't control. Instead, maybe they take the lead and guide, or you both take the lead and guide. And it doesn't mean that you'll play a doormat in your relationship also. And I think these are some of the things that we think is submission, and that's not it. But it's all about equality, I think, and two people making each other happy and understanding, right? And some of the components that make up a healthy relationship and submission is listening to your partner, each other, that is, showing each other that you trust them. That's implicit for me. That's a number one. It's almost like a deal breaker for me. Honesty and trust is are deal breakers for me. And I think that's important in partnerships. And some of the reasons why I think women maybe unlike how they are in some certain respects is the trust that they've had in the relationships. Lady B, you said you was married for 20 odd years.
Not married.
Sorry, in a relationship.
In a relationship. I was married for 11 and then went on to another relationship for about 27 years. And to be honest, the trust was abused very early on in that relationship. But I decided that, okay, I want to forgive you. Because I loved him, so I wanted to forgive him and move on with that. But the fact is, it kept happening again and again. And it got to a point where I just thought, yeah, I want to forgive you, but I can't.
Do you think it's the same on both sides? If a woman was to cheat like 3 or 4 times, would the man stay?
A man would never stay even on the first go. Trust me on that one.
I'd like to hear from the mixed clouders on that.
Yeah, mixed cloud men.
Seriously, in your relationship, because women, they talk about us compromising. We do a whole heap of compromising. A whole heap. When you really think about it, if you go back, ladies, in your relationship, if you go back and think about the compromising that you do, especially if your man has cheated or done whatever, and they think, you've got to brush it off, suppress, and we haven't even gone upon suppressing yet. We've talked about submitting. Suppressing is the other word that I'm looking for, because we're supposed to forget about misdemeanors and move on like it's okay. And we mustn't worry about it. How do you suppress those feelings if you can't talk about them? And if you talk about them, can you still suppress them? Is it forgotten about? Can you forgive and move on? I suppose you can, because that makes successful marriages, right? That's why some people are married 30 odd years, and I'm sure something's been going on in there. But it's a real conundrum to me.
I think men are more honest when it comes to cheating, in the sense that if that woman cheats once, they basically check out. Meanwhile, we women, because we think we love this man for whatever reason, and there are so many reasons, but we try to, okay, I'm going to forgive you for this. But to be honest, in the back of your mind, you haven't forgiven that man, because the moment he picks up that phone and he's talking to somebody, you're thinking, who's he talking to? The moment he goes out, you're thinking, where's he going? Is he really going where he says he's going? It's a very toxic situation, and I think a lot of us, well, I should speak for myself, in the sense that over the years I've always felt, okay, I can forgive you, I can let it slide because I love you that much. But at the end of the day, maybe I wasn't loving myself, and so I put up with it more and more. But it got to a point where that switched and it changed, and I started to see the value in me. And I just thought, I don't trust you. The fact of the matter is, I don't trust you. So why are we here?
So if you are in a relationship where there's no trust, would you stay and work it out?
I have done, but I wouldn't do it again.
Because it's at the detriment of yourself.
Is that?
But let me just. let me just read out a few more messages that have come into the Mixcloud, because Timekeeper's putting in some really great comments in there. And Aisha B says, hold on, let's go back a bit. Wayne Giddens says, oh, hi, Wayne. Good evening, my darling. I believe in forgiving. We are just all human. Delight says, sometimes it's easy to say you're going to walk away the first time they've cheated, but it isn't always easy. So true. Especially when you are emotionally tired. That's it. You're hooked in line and sinker. Aisha B says, I've been accused of cheating in a few relationships. I didn't, but it's their insecurity. And Pallady says, all my male friends would not stay if their ladies cheated. Is that true? Timekeeper, would you stay if your lady cheated? If she cheated twice, would you stay? Good question. Also, he said, excuse the example, but going into somebody else's garden is not the same as going into your own garden. Aisha B says, I think it's another way of them trying to get you to submit to cut off ties with people and become a shrinking violet. That's real narcissism, I would say. Narcissism suppression. And Aisha B said, had to read that a couple of times, Timekeeper, in terms of what you're trying to say there. So please elaborate on that one. I'd like to know. And Talibano says, I agree, all Nubian queens are beautiful. We are certainly beautiful, aren't we? Aren't we, ladies?
Of course.
100%.
Yes. So coming back to the subject about submission and the other bits that we're talking about here, and we've all kind of spoken about our respective experiences in relationships, but does that mean that, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Does that mean that because of our experiences that we are now not able to form new relationships, or we're not able to have the patience to form new relationships? What is it? What do we need to start doing then as women, or what do men start to need doing?
Well, as I said earlier on, I'm just going to say this quick so I can give someone else a chance to talk. But I personally, if a man, and I said this to you a few days ago, HBQ, that if a man is going to talk to me, right, if you start talking to me about your spirituality, we strike a conversation, and you're talking to me about your spirituality, you're literally halfway there for me.
Well, there's a lot of things that will make you halfway there for me, you know.
Yeah, but if you talk to me about your spirituality, you know, that will definitely rouse my interest, for sure.
And I think as we get older, I think that's a lot in a lot of people. You know, we're not young anymore. We've been through the meals of relationships.
I'm young.
Well, sorry, we're still young, right?
Yeah.
We are still young. That's very true. Someone was referring to older people as elderly, and I'm like, I'm not elderly. I'm certainly not elderly. I'm still young. I don't care.
Come and see me raving,
I'm
then
in.
talk to me about elderly. Yeah.
Exactly. And look how beautiful you are. Look, you just put on the glasses there and added an extra element of sophistication on the screen there.
Thank you, darling.
You know, I do think the older you get, the less likely that you can form one of these equal relationships, because I think the men just, I mean, maybe I'm a pessimist. The men just aren't there. The men behave in the way you require them to behave and to treat you how you would like them to be treated, or to treat you. They just aren't there. And because of your experience in your age, you don't have the emotional capacity or the energy to put up with anything less.
Yeah, I
It's a
definitely
young
think
woman's game.
it is.
When I say young,
Yeah.
20.
Do you know what? I agree with you. I like that terminology, actually. It's a young woman's game. It is, because they've got more energy. I think when you've been through a few relationships and you've been through it, you know what you want, and you see the signs, you see the games also. I think people just put an element of naivety on you, like you've never been through this before. We've never seen this before. We've seen it 10 times over, thanks.
Yeah,
You know?
it's nothing new.
We just choose to ignore it at the best of times, you know.
My wife doesn't understand me. The last time someone said that to me, I said, excuse me, do you think I've never heard that 100 times before? About your wife doesn't understand you. Go home, man.
Yeah, innit? Or my wife doesn't do this, or my wife doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't even bother with those conversations. I don't want to hear the conversation about what your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your matey, whatever it is not doing, because that's the piece where it's a play on. So she's not a good woman, but you're going to be the good woman to take care of all my needs. And yet, again, how many historically, when women are having relationships with married men, and what are they saying? Oh, my wife and I, we're not getting along. You're the one that I love. Da 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 da. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, him and the wife still married. You're still the matey.
Exactly. Now, I had a series of videos to show. I'm conscious of time because we're going to wrap up in about 10 minutes or so. And on the other side, I found this other video that I found was quite interesting. What do you think of this?
Simple. He don't like you. He don't call you. He don't like you. He don't keep his word. He don't like you. He's inconsistent. He has someone else. He only calls you when he wants something. He's using you. He starts random arguments. He's cheating on you. He's not investing in you. You're not worth the investment. Never met his family. You're not the one. Been with your guy 5+ years. No ring. No marriage. He's still searching. You're a placeholder. Men are not complicated. They're very easy to know. Men don't talk with their words. They talk with their actions. Let's go, that nation. Be smart, date smart, choose wisely. And remember, I told you.
I love that. I mean, I don't agree with everything that she said, but I still absolutely love it.
Okay.
I saw that earlier today, and I agree with her 100%. And just to say, Dr. Cheryl said it's a young woman's game. Even the young woman then are wiser than we were when we were that age. Okay? They don't take no shit from nobody. They don't. I've seen it. Yeah.
And sorry, I was reading some questions in the chat, and some good subject matters have come up, and Shola says, do we want to end up single for the rest of our lives? Do we stay this way and be quiet? What's the word I'm looking for without upsetting anybody? Do we keep this same stance? Because this is what's keeping us single. And I had this conversation the other day. If we are still single at this age, right, men and women, there's something wrong with us. I kind of somehow I kind of believe there's something wrong with us, or we're not quite suited to whatever's going on there. But yeah, for real, if you meet a man he's 60 and he's never been married, or he has been married and he's divorced, you're thinking, what's wrong with you? Why are you still here unmarried? Why are you still left here?
I think it's different for men and for women, though. When a woman is single at a certain age, I think it's very different to a man being single at a certain age. And I think a lot of it is to do with tradition and how you're brought up. I mean, I've got a family full of women. My poor brother is the only one boy out of four siblings. And then, of course, my mother was a single parent. I don't actually remember my parents together, and she stayed single for many years because she didn't want to put up with any crap either. And so now I've got, when I think about the kind of person that I am and what I can accept and what I don't, and it is very much what I can and what I can't. I don't feel I can be any other way than be myself. And I don't feel that I dominate, or I don't feel that I'm superior. Equally, I will not be dominated, and I will not be treated as if I'm inferior. And there will be no compromise on that. And that is why I believe that I am still single, because men expect women to compromise on that.
Can I just say, I agree with you 100%, Dr. Cheryl, but one of the things that I've started to think about, because going from Sissy Shola's comment, as in, do we want to be single for the rest of our lives? The answer for me is a resounding no. And so, I think that I will compromise on certain things in the next few years. If I'm not hitched in the next few years, then I will have to compromise on certain things. I might need to, I'm going to have to compromise on certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that my stance is that I'm going to be happy, have a full life, an engaging life, whether or not I have a partner. If I have the partner, fantastic. If I don't, that's fine, because I come from a long line of women who have been single, and I have to tell you, I come from a family my sister's been married twice, my mother's been married twice, my father's been married twice, my uncle's been married 3 times. We like getting married.
2 and 3. 2 and 3 is your special numbers. Go play the lottery tonight.
You know, I come
Back
from a
2,
family,
3, and 5, right? 2, 3, and 5. I'm putting those numbers on. And
you
Caroline,
know,
if I win, I'm sharing some of that with you.
I've been married, so I see the marriage, I know, but at the end of the day, I would rather be by myself, and I have a great life. I have a great life whether I have a man or not. My
100.
life is fabulous, darling.
100.
So I would like to
No.
have a partner, and I'm actually making an effort this year to be out there and meet men, because the last few years I said, boy, we can't bother with them things, yeah. But
Lady Toronto, how are you meeting men? Give us some tips here.
well,
Oops.
one of the things, a friend of mine, there's a group of us, we're all English Caribbean women who live here in Toronto. And one of my friends went on a dating site. And interestingly enough, she was sharing the pictures of the men who were responding. And I looked at one of the pictures and I said, oh, he looks like a really nice man. And I'm very involved with the community, and he had community interest. So she reached out to him and said, I have a friend and she saw your picture. Would you like to hook up with her? And so we've chatted a few times. We're going to go out on Saturday. I randomly met a man at work. It just was random, wasn't planned. So, and we're talking
But that's because pheromones and things are flying through the air. Things are happening, and they can sift it out. And I read an article actually talking about this, that women are using their own bodily fluids as perfume to attract a man, because it contains all sorts. So I'm going to try it next time. I'm going out Saturday night. Lady B, you're coming with me, and Miscellaneous. So if you smell a really nice essence, it's HPQ. Anyway, let me just read some stuff in the chat before we go. So DJ Timekeeper says, I do not condone cheating, but for me, another man with my wife would not be an image I could not get out of my mind to forgive. I accept it's a double standard. Thank you for accepting that. But it's not seen the same if the roles were reversed. My garden is my garden. Me one do the gardening planting. You know what? Sorry, Timekeeper. I don't agree with that. Because what you're saying is that it's okay for men. But if it comes to the other side and your woman is doing that, it's like seen as the ultimate cardinal sin. And what do you think it is for women when they got their men that they adore and they put on that platform and that pedestal also that lets them down? And the man that's supposed to be the man of the house, the man that's supposed to uphold and keep us safe, is not keeping us safe, then that's a double blow to us. You think it's a blow when you think your woman's sleeping with a man. It's just sleeping with a man. But for us, when you're our world, our whole entity, could you imagine the devastation that's done to us? And then on top of that, we're expected to suppress and submit and forgive and carry on like everything is okay and look after the kids and still put your dinner on the table and play with your locks and twist them up and grease up your head and all of that good stuff and tell you that we love you and all of that. So I beg you, please, no double standards tonight. We just want truth and honesty, definitely.
Get a robot that doesn't
and
feel
HPQ, I wanted to jump in there. My ex-husband had an affair with someone I knew, someone in our circle. Whoa. And we tried to make the marriage work, but to the point that there was no trust. And then every time he was out or you know, when we lived in the same building, me, the woman, him, and it became messy. And I remember one day my ex looking at me and saying, well, she's my friend, and if you don't like it, too bad. And I said, I don't like it, we're done. So because it will, my heart, I couldn't cope with it, you know, and then knowing that we were in such close proximity, we would be bumping into each other, living in the same building. And I was like, for my own well-being, I was already brokenhearted over the situation. I was like, nah, this marriage is not going to be the marriage it was prior to this situation, because it was so hurtful. So no, ain't gonna work for me, babe. Facts.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation, ladies, and we're going to wrap it up shortly. I just want to know if anyone's got any last bits and pieces they want to say, because I'm going to play music for the last 10 minutes and play the adverts in before we bring on DJ Juicy, who's coming on next. Anything else from us ladies on this particular subject? Who's that?
That's me here. If you're a man out there, and I don't know who's watching, who is spiritual and is willing to submit, I'm the woman for you. Okay.
And look how fine she looks on screen. Look at her.
Get in touch. Let's chat. You know, because I got it going on. You know what I mean? Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Touche.
Oh, thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Has anyone else got anything to say before we kind of say goodbye and I play one of my tracks that I'm setting up?
I just wanted to say from me, Black men, I love you. African men, I love you. I love you.
Definitely.
Definitely. You are everything. You are the kings of this universe.
Yep.
But at the same token, not gonna really be putting up with, because you have the opportunity to have multiple women, I should be happy just to get a piece of you rather the whole of you. And so I'll just leave it at that.
I think it's important to recognize we're not anti-men. We just want good ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then I will then say that there's an old West Indian saying that goes, every dry crackers has their cheese. There's various variations of that, and I had to choose that one because that one sounds quite good. So you know, going forward, we just need to find our, you know, the crackers and cheese. Let's get it on.
You ladies make me laugh. You ladies make me laugh. Crackers and cheese. What are we going on about here? Eh? Anyway, ladies, thank you again for a fabulous evening. Thank you. It's been a great chat. Let me just get myself on screen here. Hold on 1 second. Right, it's been a great chat. Honestly, great subject debate, and thank you everyone in the Mixcloud chat rooms that's been a part of this chat as well. Thank you so much to my fellow panelist guests here. We are here once a month and we have subjects on where we sit down and we talk together and discuss. I have to put a disclaimer in. We are not subject matter experts whatsoever. We are professional ladies in our own right. We merely have an opinion about subjects that we're putting out here. We don't sit down and deliberate and come up with what we're talking about. We come with our own minds and everything that we want to talk about here this evening. And we hope that we enlighten, we motivate, we support, and that you understand what we're doing here today and love what we're doing and come out and support us. Join the Mixcloud sessions either on Gyradio or on HPQ. Also Lady B, Miscellaneous. Follow Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson. She does so much in the community as well and writes, and honestly, amazing person. Miscellaneous as well, Lady B. Toronto, Carolyn, Lady Toronto, all the way in Canada. Thank you so much, ladies. It's a pleasure to have you here every month, and we'll look forward to hosting you again next month.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. thoroughly
Thank you.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yes, very much so.
That's
Always
okay.
a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And somebody says, and Delight says she's waiting for GY
Yeah, I was just
radio
looking back.
speed dating. Perhaps we need to put that in. But anyway, I'm going to put you
Great
ladies out one by one to say goodbye before I bring you into some music. So let's see. Let's have Toronto Caroline. Do you want to say goodnight, goodbye?
Good night. Hopefully see you in July. I'm coming through. I'm
She
coming
is.
through.
Lady Toronto will be here in July. Pumps and Shades party. Don't forget to get your tickets if they are not sold out yet.
Miss-
And next we got Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson. Good night, my darling. I will see you.
Good
next
night. Thank you for having me. Goodbye from Norfolk.
week. Pleasure, my darling. Pleasure. And we have Miscellaneous. So we're going to say good night, darling.
Yes, good night, and thank you. Thank you for your company. It's been fun. Until the
Aw.
next time.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have the wonderful and gorgeous Lady B. All of our
Yes.
ladies are gorgeous, by the way.
Yes, we're all gorgeous sisters. But thank you, DJ Timekeeper, for giving us a man's perspective. Thank you to all the sisters in the Mixcloud chat room. Thank you to all the silent listeners. Thank you, HPQ. Love you. Mwah.
Love you ladies too, by the way. Thank you very much, my darling. Thank you. Okay, now I'm back up on screen. Let me just take these headphones out because we finished the talk. I hope that you guys, ladies and gentlemen, enjoyed the chat. DJ Timekeeper, as Lady B says, thank you so much for joining in. We love the male perspective. As much as you think we don't, I don't want anyone to think that this is all about ladies and women's empowerment and we just want our own way and we don't want the male perspective. We do. We want more males to come in onto the show and tell us what they think. We all know what we've all been through, and so as a collective, we are trying to be seriously supportive of that also. Now, let me play a tune to sound you guys out. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in this. Thoroughly enjoyed you guys. Let's just play this tune from the top like I should do.
Boy, listen, everybody can't be in my head. Everybody can't sleep in my bed. Everybody can't be up in my face. Everybody can't be all in my space. Now I might fuss a little bit, cuss a little bit, you know this.
So thank you, Olga35. Much appreciated for those comments. Thank you. And Miscellaneous panel member, thank you, my darling. Lady B, Lady Toronto, and of course, Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson. We are all very strong ladies, as you've seen. We are strong black sisters. We are not infallible. We are not crazy. We have a lot of love. Honestly, we have. We are just very strong, very, very intelligent.
Everybody won't understand my journey.
So you just can't come with your rubbish.
Everybody won't know how to heal what hurts me. Everybody can't be written into my story. Just because they want me don't mean they ready for me. Now I might go a little fit, talk a little slick. I do this, yeah. I'm willing to go and admit you perfect fit, baby. You the shit. I don't want nobody but you. Don't want nobody touching me, baby.
And next week is Ladies Women's International Day, I should say. I'm going to be on LWR radio station from 7 till 9 a.m. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And also later on will be Random Wednesdays again.
What you thought you were in my heart.
On the Monday will be the Breakfast Flight Show. Delight is standing in for Sharky DJ. And so it'll be myself and Delight. You've got to tune into that show. We've got a show tuned up for you guys on that Monday morning from 7 till 10 a.m. And then on Tuesday, it's going to be the Breakfast Flight Show again, because back-to-back Tuesdays is not going to be around for a little more. Mr. Martin Winter is taking a break and Sharky DJ is taking over that show. And I'm going to be doing HBQ News and playing dilemmas as well. So more chat, more discussion. Make sure you join Mondays and Tuesdays on the Breakfast Flight Show with Sharky DJ and HBQ News. So we're saying, Delight, that I'll come and advertise you and give you this big opening saying that you're going to come on Monday, and they're saying Monday not good again. You lie. You lie. You should have texted me. Don't come on Mixcloud and tell me that. Do not come on Mixcloud and tell me that.
So now my love to you, baby, I surrender. Get ready tonight. Gonna make this a night.
So up next, we've got DJ Juicy. She's coming in from 8 p.m. We've got the lovely, beautiful, gorgeous DJ Juicy coming in from 8 till 10 p.m. And then straight after that, we've got the lovely Miss L Vibes.
United. And there's nothing in this world to come between me and you. We're together and it keeps me so excited to think.
Oh, thank the God, Delight. You nearly frightened me. I've got a whole big show lined up, guys. If you've never been on the Breakfast Flight Show, you've got to go on Monday, especially as the very fact that Delight, it's going to be me and Delight. You know we're going to mash it up big time.
We're gonna make this a night to remember. Get ready, oh baby, tonight. Gonna make this a night to remember. Gonna make this a night to remember. Tonight.
And this tune comprises of two of my favourite groups, Mary J. Blige and Shalimars. Her rendition of A Night to Remember.
Gonna make this a night to remember. We're gonna make this a night. We're gonna make this a night. You won't forget. I won't forget. Get ready, tonight. Gonna make this a night to remember. Get ready, tonight. Oh yeah. Gonna make this a night to remember. Get ready. It will be like the past. Tonight. I'm gonna make it there. Gonna make this a night to remember. Tonight.
House Party Queen. Yo, the House Party Queen plays the hits and more. Yes, she certainly does.
So I just want to end it with this track. This is called The Vibes Is Right by Barrington Levy. You just got to listen to the words. And honestly, guys, listen to the words. The vibes is right. I want us all to have a good day and a good weekend. Don't think about any bad karma. Just do this. And HBQ is sounding out. Till next month on Ladies' Night.
When you come a dance, must make no fuss no fight. You must make the nice vibes right. No need to fuss, no need to fight.
And I haven't told Lady B this, but I'm stealing her show next week. I've got an interview with Men at Large. The great American R&B group Men at Large is with HBQ